felt useless. I tried, but to no avail. To tell you how much I know, how much I care.
Okay, so for this video, I wanted to try three things. I wanted to try recreating the Super Heaven Youngest Daughter tone as best I could with totally plug-in stuff. So like budget, affordable stuff. I used the SLT tones pretty much completely. Because of that, I wasn't able to exactly use like the pedal models that they were using, the amp models they were using. Obviously, Taylor in one interview says he is using, I can bring that up too, he said he's using a VTM. In this video here, he's using a PV VTM 60 or something. Jake Clark in this video is using a Fender JCM 800. Both similar, but my STL tones here, I only have the JCM 800 to copy. So that's one thing. Second, I wanted to use the amp models, the JCM 800 amp model from STL amp hubs, but I wanted to use an actual Green Russian Electro Harmonix reissue muff, and then also a Way Huge Swollen Pickle into my interface into these amp models, because you can see here there is a Green Russian Big Muff. That's what he kind of was alluding to using for Youngest Daughter. And then Jake Clark was alluding to using his his Swollen Pickle for like big heavy parts, like in Youngest Daughter specifically in this video. And then third, I wanted to do a track of just using a real amp. In my case, the closest thing I have probably is my JCM 2000. So I tried to make it sound, clean as could be, added in bass because I know it's lacking bass, using deep switch and stuff, and then using the real pedals. So I got three things: totally plugins. The second one is plug-in amps but real pedals, and then the third recording I did was real pedal, real amp for all these. So I was just gonna walk through what I did here. The intro and bass and drums are the intro phaser guitar, bass and drums are the same for all three of these clips. So I used some EQ just to cut off a lot of the high-end stuff, make it sound kind of like it was far away. Thought it matched the song a little bit better. Here's the amp. It's set to clean, volume's all the way up. As they mentioned in their videos, they like the gain, which is preamp here, to be low, but the volume really loud. And then treble, backed it off a little bit, gave it a little bit more middle, and then a lot more bass. Presence gave it a little boost here. Here's the phaser pedal. I have the speed way low, the amount of it, the level and the depth are way high on it. And just using the 4x12 cab here. Didn't really change anything there. Put the smallest amount of reverb, like 3% and 5%. So that's the intro guitar that plays through all three of these versions. For the JCM 800, which I panned to the left with the Rat here, I think I did the Rat for both of these, yeah. So I just basically double tracked it and they're the same. But Infinity EQ, I just gave it some mid boost and some low end boost, which I know this would be crazy on a real amp, but these models are so good you normally don't even have to cut off any low end on like a plug-in because they just sound so good already, or at least that's my take. But the reason I picked this Rat pedal to go with the JCM 800 model instead of the Green Russian Big Muff like he's got right here is because there is no muff pedal. I found this Frankenfuzz, really did not like it. So I ended up trying just the Rat pedal model here, adjusted it to taste, moderate distortion, made it darker, a lot more bass here, not trebly. If you go this way, it's trebly, and then total volume there. And I did that for both of the guitars. Again, same amp settings, same cabinet, no effects or anything. And that's what that sounded like. I could even play part of that, but, and then the second time, oh, and the bass for all these, I'm using just like their bass player said, he's using a Sans amp. I'm using a clone of it, turned the bass up and the drive of it up, and he has a Boss bass overdrive. This is close enough. You can see in the video here, he talks about his Sans amp and then a Boss bass overdrive there. I don't have the exact model, so in order to compensate for it being a guitar model and not a bass one, I probably should have boosted some of the lows, and then those are going into this just STD classic bass knob amp, which I just really like. But anyway, it is what it is. I think it sounds pretty good. So that's the first version. The second version here, which is, I should get rid of these. Didn't mean for those to be there. The second version, I had a real Green Russian Muff and a real Swollen Pickle going into this same amp setting. So same amplifier, I just got rid of the Rat pedal. Same cabinet, same effects, all that. Same thing for the, like I said, both just no pedals on either of them, the Green Russian Muff and the Swollen Pickle one. Only real difference there. Just put the pedals, guitar into the pedal into my interface, and just set the gain and tracked it as if, you know, I was playing a real amp. So bass stayed the same. That intro guitar did not change either. And the drums did not change either. And then the third and final way I did it, again, bass stayed the same. Wherever the guitar intro is, guitar intro stayed the same. The first guitar, I have those grouped. The first guitar is the Green Russian Muff pedal I have straight into the front of my JCM 2000 Marshall amp. The second guitar here, panned right or left here, is a Swollen Pickle into my JCM 2000. I tried to match the volumes best I could, and I didn't change any of the knobs there. They sounded okay, and I'm trying to limit this and only take like an hour, so I only did like 2 takes of this and adjusted it once. Ideally, you'd sit around and do this, you know, for a long time until you actually get the tone you want, and I was just referencing the Spotify youngest daughter sound. Bounced it out, still just wasn't happy. I think I could have done a way better job with the microphone, and that's probably 100% of my issue, but without going crazy and taking a whole day to do this, I tried to compensate with some EQ, I guess 2 layers of EQ on both of these. For the Green Russian Muff, I put this Infinite EQ, can use anything, and I just cut off pretty much everything below 100 hertz-ish, start to roll it off, and then cut off about everything past 14.5 hertz, or 14,500 hertz. Then I did some crazy EQ. I added a ton of 1.8K, like 5 dB with a big hill of it. And then around 586 hertz, I put another 6 decibels of gain for that. And then in addition to that, I used this EQ as a secondary EQ, the SSL channel. I put 3 dB of 8K, about 7 dB of 2.5K, and I put 8.7 dB of 1.5K. Didn't touch anything lower. Same thing for the Swollen Pickle. For the Swollen Pickle, almost the same, plus 3 dB, plus 6.42 dB at 307 hertz. I just kind of swept it around and saw until I heard something I liked and it sounded more like the real thing. Again, chopped everything off above 14K and everything below 50 hertz here I chopped off because it sounded nice. Same thing, SSL channel, boosting the 8K, 2 decibels, boosting 2.5K, 8.9 decibels, boosting 1.5K, 6.7 decibels. So that's what I ended up doing for that there. Doesn't sound anywhere near as aggressive or in your face if I don't have that EQ stuff in there. And again, that's my fault. I should have the amp turned up way more, but nuclear reactors being built in the next room over, and I don't want to disturb them too much. And again, you should just do what Jordan Valeriot says and just do a test, see what you think of it, move the mic, do a test, see what you think of it, keep moving the mic. You want your guitars to pretty much sound 100% there without doing any of this EQ stuff. But he also says, don't be afraid to boost the crap out of a sound you do like, which I did like these sounds. They weren't bad. They just weren't good compared to the DI stuff I did. And I'm just simply using a single SM57 microphone right where the center dust cap meets the cone. So right at that meeting point, it's like maybe like an inch away from what the grill cloth would be. So anyway, that's just some thinking behind everything here. What else here? Yeah, I can play, I don't know, this is me making this video before I really edit the video, but I can play clips of each of these, I guess. So I'm just gonna do that. Also, I forgot to include the vocals because some people were asking me about vocals. I am a belligerent amateur, as Kyle Bull would say, but this is what I kind of do roughly. I only spent an hour on this. I'd spend much more time on a song I was making, but I'll just run you through what I did. Basically, the big key is go under your window, go to your mix, and make sure that your input on your microphone, you're hitting around -6 dB. You don't want to be super low. So when I'm recording this, like it's up there around 6. Any lower, well, you can go down to -12 probably or so. But if you're recording without plugins down here in like -30, you're gonna have too much noise floor. And also check this without the plugins. Turn them all off to do your vocal gain, set your vocal gain check. Anyway, if we're good with that, I use a Shure SM57 with a Coda mic booster, which is just a, a cloud lifter off-brand. And let me show you what I got going on here. Here, I'm using all just like basic plugins. This one I think is a Waves plugin or something, but regardless, I would use a Sibilance de-esser that's stock on your DAW. So I got a de-esser, I don't even know where I have it set. An SSL channel for some EQ. I just like to boost a little bit of 8, a little bit of 4.5, a little bit of 1.5, about maybe 1.25. And then I like to shave off a little bit, like 6 dB of the 200 and below. Really, the key is compression. I probably should be compressing it first or EQing it first. I don't know. Someone will tell me the opposite, and then I'll go, yeah, you're right, I'm wrong. Here, I tried to use stock compressors. These come with Pro Tools, and to keep it simple for this, I literally just threw a D3 compressor limiter and threw on a vocal comp preset, and then another copy of it, but with a vocal leveler preset, just keeping it simple. Then I went down here to my sends, I went new track and created my vocal delay, and same thing, new track, vocal chorus. To see how that's done, you just hit new track, name it whatever you want. One of these will pop up. Then I put a chorus on here. On this one, I put a delay, but I wanted to shave off a lot of the lows and a lot of the highs so they're not getting in the way. And you don't change the volume of these here. You change them here. You click here, blend it into taste. It's parallel that way, blend it into taste. And that's pretty much it for the vocals. I still didn't chop off the dead air here. I will do that and edit them, make them a little cleaner here, but that's pretty much it. That's keeping it simple. I have some vocal chorus and some vocal delay. I like to use reverb on vocals for more gazy stuff. Jordan V will tell you reverb is something that gets in the way of mixes and stuff. So for this one, I have avoided using any reverb since I don't want to blow up the mix. So anyway, hope that helps. Hope that made sense. And let it play through. So this will be all plugin stuff. Pedals are plugins, amps are plugins, and I'll just let it play.
It's useless. I tried, but to no avail. To tell you how much I know, how much I care.
Not too bad. Like I said, I was using the Rat pedal and other plugins that aren't exactly what they say they were using because I simply don't have models of what they were using exactly. I did try Big Muff by Nambrini Audio in front of the STL JCM 800. Didn't like it. Didn't think it sounded as correct as the Rat. And again, I'm just trying to take like an hour and make this and not spend all day. So if you go down the rabbit hole, I'm sure you can get much closer to me. Here's the second take here. Same intro guitar, same bass guitar. The only difference, like I said, was the Green Russian Muff real pedal was going into the Amp Hub amp model, and then the Swollen Pickle real pedal was going into the Amp Hub JCM 800 model again. So I'm gonna hit play here.
I care. Till you go.
thought that sounded pretty good as well. Obviously, it's pretty easy to just fire up a amp hub plug-in with this Marshall amplifier and sound good, even if I'm throwing in a pedal in front of it. The last version here, so I'll play. This is, again, totally real amp, real pedals. Not necessarily the pedals they use for this. It's my best guess. I don't know the exact settings they used. Also, my amp is different. If they used a JCM 800, I'm trying to make a JCM 2000 work, which is known for lacking bass and different things. That's a reason why it goes for $700 used and the 800s go for like $2,500. But trying to make it work. So let me just play this here.
Useless. I tried, but to no avail. To tell you how much I know, how much I care.
Anyway, I hope that was entertaining at least, or at the very least. Hopefully informative. Like I said, I think I was somewhat close. Someone requested this, and I did an okay job. I think you'd be happy with this if you were going for in the spirit of that song, but you're not trying to just copy it exactly and be like a cover band or something. Hope these explanations helped if you're trying to get this tone, or thinking like what's the difference between these plugins versus doing it all real. A lot more work if you're gonna microphone or mic up a real amp, obviously. A lot more EQ stuff to do, and costs a ton of money. So the budget version of this I think sounds pretty good. The budget version being just using the Amp Hub suite for $10 a month, have everything, and using these plugins that I was using. Sure, you don't have the exact thing, but you know, sometimes the hardest thing is not sounding like your favorite artists, as Olive from Dead Horse One says. So shout out to Dead Horse One. But anyway, with 2 hours to do this, plus like 30 minutes to make the video here, I'm not going to get dead on, but hopefully it's entertaining, like I said, useful maybe, and somewhat close. So again, appreciate the request. Thanks for watching.